Welcome to Resiliency Redefined. I'm your host, Robyne, and I am thrilled to share with you information about resiliency, well-being, performance, education, business, parenting, and everything in between. I'm committed to joining you each week to talk about these big ideas and bring them into action, habits, tools, strategies, tactics that allow us to finally uncover what it takes to truly be well. And I'm just so excited that you're here. This is the episode of 2025. I appreciate all the guests that we have had on the show. I am so appreciative for everyone. And this episode, this to me is this is winning the Super Bowl of podcasts. Opportunity to interview Bryan Neale. Now, you might know him as the Blind Zebra, author, business coach, consultant, all the things. And he also, as he calls it, has a pretty cool Sunday side hustle as a referee over 3 decades in the NFL. I have been looking forward to this conversation. It's not very often, I know I cry all the time, but it's not very often somebody brings me to tears by sharing a story. And so please tune in for this full episode. This is a person who's doing the good work in such a significant way on so many different fronts. So I hope you enjoy this episode of Resiliency Redefined with Bryan Neale. It for me is this is it for 2025. So thank you for listening. Tune into this one, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we did creating it for you. Everyone, today this is so big. Thank you for tuning into Resiliency Redefined. Today I have the opportunity to welcome Bryan Neale. I have been looking forward to this conversation. Bryan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here, Robyne. I'm so glad to hear all of your uh, fandom-ish about one of my jobs. I'm super
Oh
excited.
my,
So
I wish it's people who know me closely would just be like, oh my gosh, she's like literally having her like Oprah moment where she's just like finally gets to have a conversation with, again, one of your jobs as an NFL referee, which is just so cool, as well as all of the other work as an author, as a consultant. Like, Bryan, tell us a wee bit about what you're doing these days. And yes, I will have so many questions. I hope that's
yeah,
okay about NFL-ness as well.
100%,
Thanks.
and ask away. And they always say like you meet people that are in things that you're interested in
Yeah.
is always really really cool and fun. And sometimes it's a little bit of a letdown. So I hope it's not a huge letdown. But I'm just a normal person who happens to have a really cool job. But I love my job. I'm one of those lucky people.
Mm.
It took me a minute. Like it takes a lot of people to find your it's called different things.
Yeah.
Dan Sullivan calls it unique ability.
Yes.
What you're good at, what you love to do. And that's all I really do. So I love refereeing football, and I do that. I'm pretty decent at it.
Yes, you
And
are.
I love doing sales operations work,
Yeah.
and I do that during my day job. And then I love keynote speaking,
Yeah.
and I get to do that. And I love podcasting, and I've been podcasting for 19 years.
Yeah.
So those are my 4 jobs that I'm doing right now: podcasting, installing our sales operations systems with B2B sales teams,
Yep.
keynote speaking, and reffing football. And
Yeah.
5 kids, and I'm married to my CEO. How's that?
Like, this is why you were one of the coolest people I feel like I've ever gotten a chance to chat with. I love all of this, and as someone who also does what they love to do. And
Yes.
again, similar in terms of it took me a while to get there, but when I got there, I realized life is way too short not to do stuff that you just love to do and make a
Yes.
livelihood out of it and the lifestyle that we're able
Yes.
to create. So I absolutely love this. And again, just how you are able to show up in like such an authentic way. So
Mm.
having seen some of your keynotes, listening to your podcast, reading your work, and again, seeing you on the big screen, watching you do what you do. Like you are somebody who is using their skills, their talents, and their gifts in such a significant way. So again, thank you for the gift of being here with us today and all of the listeners. Now, one of the things that I'm so curious, because you have, all of these touches in different areas, what are you seeing right now when it comes to, high performance, about resiliency, about like you live this, you see this in all of the domains of your work. And I'm just curious what your pulse is right now on resiliency and high performance and what's top of mind for you.
That's great. Let's talk about those things. And
Yeah.
kudos to you for doing this too. These are great gifts to share. And
Thank you.
I've been podcasting for 19 years. I tell everybody, I don't care what you do for a living, You need to start a podcast. You just
Yeah.
do. I don't care if you're like good at speaking or
Mhm.
clever or artistic or what, it doesn't matter. And so kudos to you for starting it. I think we're
Thank
just on
you.
the cusp of this. So
Yeah.
bravo, bravo.
Thank
So
you.
many people are like, I should start a podcast. And you did. And
Yeah.
here we are.
Here we are.
And my little cheesy frame is now it's a thing.
Now it's
Now
a
it's a
thing.
thing. So bravo to you.
Thank you.
Um, resiliency and high performance. So I think age is a gift.
Mhm.
And I don't think age like, oh, I'm getting old sort of thing, but the experiences are such gifts. And if I've learned anything, and I heard a speaker ask this question, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. When it comes to resiliency, it's like how many of if you're sitting here live,
Yeah.
like you and I are in person or, on the earth, um, of all of your challenges in life, how many of them have you overcome?
Yeah.
And the clever answer is all of them.
All of
Like,
them.
because you're sitting here, every
Yeah.
one of them. And all of us have this. I'm sure you have the peaks and the valleys and the peaks and the valleys, and I have that too. And I was talking to my son. He's in college now, university, as we
Mhm.
would say up
Yes.
north.
Yes.
And I was kind of running through my career with him. We have a really great talk, a long walk this summer. And as I'm telling him like all my path, my career, I'm like, awful. Like I was
Yeah.
going through I went bankrupt one time. I
Yep.
did this, and I was like almost broke again. And I had a few businesses that I started that failed. As I'm telling him this, I'm like, dang, I thought I was doing pretty good.
Mhm.
I hear him back. The point is, I've gotten through all those things to some good places.
Yeah.
So I think one, just everybody just embracing the idea that you don't realize it, but you've already been through this stuff and handled
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
And when we hit it straight on, sometimes like, gosh, this is really hard. You've already been through hard. It's behind you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to remember or feel
Mhm.
the stress or the anxiety. I can't go back to when I was bankrupt at 25.
Mhm.
I can remember it and remember some of the nuances, but it's really hard for me to feel the anxiety back
Yeah.
there. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
On the high performance piece, to me, again, age and wisdom. To me, the magic bullet on high performance is slow, steady, consistent behavior in anything that you do. That's
Love
really
that.
the magic.
Yeah.
It's just whether it's fitness, weight loss, coaching, podcasting. I tell start podcasting, and here you are podcasting.
Mhm.
But most people stop after 20 episodes.
Mhm.
It's a thing. And if
Yeah.
you just keep doing it, next thing you know, it's a habit and you've got this big library of podcasts that you
Yeah.
can use for marketing or sharing with the world. So
Yeah.
that's my little high performance thing is not so much this like go attack
Yeah.
it's more like little things every day, all the time, habits. That's
Absolutely.
my little thing
Yeah.
right now that I'm seeing.
I love that. And oh my gosh, there's so many questions that I have after that share. So, first
Yeah.
and foremost, that piece about resiliency. Yeah, our survival rate for hard things, hard seasons, hard experiences is 100%. Right? Our
That's awesome.
survival rate, we are
Awesome.
here, we're figuring it out. This is what we do. And all of these pieces of evidence that we pick up along the way just show us that we can figure things out, that we're going to be
Awesome.
okay. It's going to be messy, probably. It's probably not as we hoped it would be, however, we, by our very nature, are designed to figure things out. And that's what we do. So I
Totally.
love that kind of reframe again about like, yeah, when we look at that trajectory of our careers or even our relationships or our financial situations, none of them are linear. Right. Like
Uh-uh.
no interesting person has a boring past as far as I'm
Right.
concerned. Right. And we love a comeback story. It's part of what
Yes.
drives, it's why we love sports. It's why we love seeing people succeed, those setbacks become setup. So I totally, we're on
Yes.
the same page of that.
Awesome.
And the piece about performance, the little things aren't that little after all. We talk about in this work that I see, and you're absolutely right, that consistency compounds and it's just the reps. It's literally just putting in the reps. And one of the things that I really am curious about, again, you have so much wisdom that you're offering to share. So thank you for this, is you are in one of your roles. You are having your mistakes, or which are very few, by the way, which I don't think most people
Thank you.
actually
Thank you.
realize the
Thank you.
statistics. And as a statistician, and I'm curious if this is actually accurate, but they say on average in an NFL game, there are usually 153 plays. That's what they
Correct.
say is the average.
That's
And they
correct.
say our officials are accurate 98.9%.
That's
That was
true.
the latest statistic I was able to find on that. And first of all, that is remarkable that you
Right.
are watching 100 and well, you and 6 others, right,
Yes.
are
Yes.
watching 153 experiences, like in time experiences, and you all
Yes.
get it right literally 98.9%.
Yes.
Like those stats, like pilots don't even have stats like that, my friend. Like you're doing the
Right.
good work, right? And one of the things is though, and again, I think one of the things that inhibits and sometimes sets us up to be a bit wee bit weary about trying new things or putting ourselves out there is the fact that there's feedback or we could make a mistake.
Yeah.
Your mistakes are literally reviewed and shared to millions of people,
Yes.
yet you do it. Like, you show
Yeah.
up, you do it the best that you can, and you do it with a high degree of accuracy.
Yeah.
Yet, when you do make a mistake, oh my gosh, like, you are literally, like, dragged across the coals for weeks after weeks, and how do you do that? Like, how do you compartmentalize it, or how do you keep showing up even though you're doing your job 98.9% correctly?
Yeah.
There's always gonna be that 1%, and how do you stick handle that or navigate
That
that?
that's a really great question, and true, and thanks for looking up. I would expect nothing less, though, from a PhD, like, so
There you
it's
go.
really very impressed,
Thank
and
you.
very accurate stats, yeah. So we're very proud. We do actually perform at a real high level.
Yeah.
We also understand what we sign up for, and we understand that every play, every game, everything matters so much to fans and the players and the coaches. And so we're keenly aware of that. I've been refereeing for 37 years. So part
Oh,
of the
cool.
answer is a Malcolm Gladwell
Mhm.
Outliers chapter 10,000 hour rule
Yep.
thing is when you do something, as I mentioned earlier, that many times, rep after rep, and you set repetitions,
Yeah.
all those things just get easier to deal with.
Right.
The ability to see things gets easier. The ability to make good judgments gets
Mhm.
easier, and you're always chasing the 100% accuracy rate,
Yeah.
knowing you're never going to catch it, but you keep wanting to get a little bit closer,
Yeah.
and it's never a straight line, like you said earlier. So you get a little bit better and a little, but
Yeah.
we all perform really high, so we're very proud of that. Then we still get frustrated. I will tell you this, and anyone will know this if you know anyone that officiates really any sport, especially though high level sports. No one can be as hard on me as me. I
Mm.
promise you,
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily a gift that I've got, but no one can. No headline, no Twitter,
Mhm.
anything could ever be as hard on me as me. I care so much about the work that I do,
Yes.
and I take it so seriously, and I know how much bigger it is than me as an
Mhm.
individual, and then that it's so important that I'll take care of myself on the criticism part.
Yeah.
That and I've got a therapist to help me.
Yeah.
My little joke too. I say if you call your therapist you coach, you sound less. Call your therapist a coach, you sound less broken. That's kind of right.
I love that.
This is my life coach. This
Yeah.
is my therapist. But to work on those things. But and there's a healthy bit to that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then we had a friend, a colleague actually just passed away, unfortunately, really young,
Oh,
an NFL ref, and he had a saying when people would get frustrated, they get frustrated by stuff, and he'd say, you can always quit. And he's right. There's no one making me do this. Not one human being is making me do this. I could call up this afternoon and say, you know what? It's been a great
yeah,
ride.
I'm
I'm
done.
out. I'm out. And you know what? It would go on without me in 2 seconds. It'd just carry on without me,
Yeah.
and no one, it wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
So that helps me frame up when I'm feeling that way, like this pressure or this criticism or whatever that thing is, to say, you know what? I choose to be here.
Yeah.
No one's making me. And I'm very keenly aware of what's at stake for
Mhm.
everybody and everything. And if I frame that well and I work to do a good job and I keep a healthy relationship with self criticism
Yeah.
and use it to grow and not to like condemn myself,
Mhm.
then I'm in a good spot and it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun.
Oh my gosh, I loved so much about what you just said, and the that piece about agency, that any point, like,
Mhm.
you are self-selecting to be in this, you are choosing to do absolute amazing work and recognizing this is part of it, right? Part of it
Yes.
is this other piece, and, optimally, not to have people criticize us would be lovely, but that's not even a reasonable or a realistic
Mm-mm.
expectation when
Mm-mm.
you are serving millions, right? Millions
Yes.
of fans, this industry, these supporters, like there's so many moving parts. And I could share with you, officiating is not for the faint of heart. And you live that for so many decades, which is just so remarkable. And I can share you just quickly, anecdotally. I remember our oldest son, Hunter, he was a referee in soccer.
Oh,
And I remember one time, and Hunter he's a very, very skilled athlete, and he played soccer, basketball, football, rugby, all the things. And I remember he was officiating a little match, a little house league match in
Yes.
soccer. He would have been, Bryan, I want to say about 12 years old. And he made a call and he recognized probably wasn't his best call. But again, it was just in the moment, didn't have the experience, didn't have the reps in. It did not make or break a game, Bryan, that they were not even keeping score in. So we'll just hold
Uh,
space that this is not a
yes.
like game 7. This is not play of anything. And Hunter had a grown man follow him all the way to the car, screaming at him. Like literally, the kid had to walk all through these soccer fields, all through
Mm,
these other games, all these parents. And this grown man followed him all the way to the car where I was there to pick him up. And all of a sudden, I kind of got out of the car when I'm watching this unfold. And I was like, dude, Hunter, what's happening? And he's like, I made the wrong call. And this person is clearly not, he's mad at me. And I'm like,
yeah.
first of all, what grown man walks a kid all the way
Amen.
to the car? Like,
Amen.
that's
Yes.
dude needs to, that's a whole
Not
other
right.
thing. But
Yep.
anyway, I turned to that gentleman and I said, sir, like, where do you work? And he kind of stopped and he was like, what's it to you? And I said, well, I would love to come to your job tomorrow and scream and yell at
Yes.
you at
Yes.
your job. And let's just hold space that he's a 12-year-old boy who is doing this. Like check yourself. And again, I can only imagine on the scale in which that criticism and some of that irrational behavior
Yes.
gets channeled towards you, but also like your family and like all the
Yeah.
things. Yet you're able to keep it in perspective, right? Like
Yes.
you're able to keep it in perspective. And a question that I have about that ability to maintain perspective, one of the things I know as someone who studies this is that you have to be like on your A game. Like you have to
Yes.
be well rested. You have to make
Yes.
sure that you have focus, that you can dial in. What type of practices, habits, routines, or
Mm,
rituals do you use knowing that you still have a very full life, which
yes.
is stressful? All of our lives are, yet you're able to show up on any given Sunday, Monday, maybe occasional Saturday, and maybe a
Yep.
Thursday. You're
Yes.
able to show up and be at your top performance to be able to make real time decisions that quickly and that accurately. How
Yes.
do you do that?
Such a good question. And again, learn skill over 37 years. And we are given lots of resources from the league to help us with this sports psychology.
Yeah.
We have a nutrition coach. We have a physical coach. We get stretched before games. I go to a sports stretching and massage person every other week in the season.
Yeah.
And all those things contribute film study and routine. But the biggest thing for me is that it's that you talked about the rituals or the
Yeah.
habits. And part of me, I go, okay, I've got like a mild case of OCD, maybe
Yeah.
not diagnosed, but I'm like the little things that,
Yep.
I'm a counter or I'll
Mhm.
have to like touch the lights a little bit, but it's not debilitating.
Yeah.
Um, but the positive of that ability is everything is routine based.
Yes.
So I do the same thing every week
Mhm.
and the same thing on the weekends. Little things that I do. I have learned to, as I'm getting older, not because I've had problems, but I'm getting older. I stopped running
Mhm.
on asphalt. I used to run every morning, 6 days a week. Now I walk. I hated walking
Yeah.
because I needed that like mental, emotional, physical release
Yeah.
really big from running. And I'm like, I've learned to walk. So I
Mhm.
walk every morning.
Mhm.
And I'm a year into 10,000 steps a day.
Mhm.
Kind of those things just to clear my mind in the mornings, which is great. And then I attend a men's mental health group once a
Amazing.
week
Mhm.
that just keeps me grounded
Yeah.
and gets to talk to men.
Yes.
I don't know in your studies if there's a gender difference
Yeah.
between how we process stress in life and
Yeah.
things. So it's good to have a group of men to speak with. And then I have the previous games evaluation is done Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. Once
Okay.
Wednesday's over, any clarification stuff is done, and then we're on to the next week. Thursday, I'll prep a little bit for the week upcoming. Friday, I completely take off.
Love that.
I, like you, have kids that are athletes.
Yeah.
My boys played American football here at a high level at a high school here. They're all gone now, but for 7 years,
Yeah.
my Friday nights were to watch my boys
Yes.
play football, which was just fantastic. And that's over now, so that's happy and sad. It's over.
Yes.
But Saturdays are clean, no football.
Mhm.
And then Saturday, I'm out the door, fly to the game site, very routine oriented meetings, dinner. Then I always watch college football game at night.
Nice.
We have a devotional, non
Yes.
denominational devotional Sunday morning. Go to
Mhm.
the stadium 3 hours before, do the thing, and just do that
Rinse and
22 times a
repeat.
year. That's it. It's
Yeah.
all it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all it is.
I love the structure because, and again, one of the things that Jocko Willink talks about is that that structure gives us the freedom, right? That
100%.
structure gives us
100.
all of the freedom to then be able to be on our A game, to be focused. And again, that ability to compartmentalize, like recognizing where I have to be, what I have to do, and taking out some of the, I wonder how I'm going to do it this time. And again, that
Right.
structure. And, often we talk about the fact that people, I think, have such a misperception around structure, and it's with that structure and those routines. And again, honoring the experience of, yeah, now I'm a walker. That's cool. Right. And yes,
Mhm.
these are the things that I ebb and flow. So it's not, I did this at 25, which means I then have to do it exactly the same at
Yes.
50,
Yes.
giving ourselves that grace and that permission for it to evolve, and trusting the process, trusting
That's
that
it.
this is going to get me where I have to be so I can have that phenomenal accuracy rating, which you all have, which is just
That's
so
great.
cool. I
That's it.
love that.
And I love, and I say it all the time to my clients, discipline creates freedom.
Yeah.
People feel like discipline is inhibiting. I think it's freedom.
Yes.
It's freedom. If I wear the same thing every day to work, which I do, I never have to think about what to wear to work. It just
100%.
frees my mind for something else. It's
Yes.
just, I just absolutely love that the freedom that comes from discipline.
Yeah, and I am absolutely in the same boat in terms of anytime that I'm traveling, I literally, it's like I have the same go pack. I have worn the
Right.
same pair of running shoes, I kid you not, for over 4 years. And you can literally go
Awesome.
back and like look at pictures
Awesome.
and be like, "Does she seriously wear the same thing?" It's like, "Yes, I do."
Yes,
It's
she
like, cuz
does.
I don't want to be in that position where I have to
Mhm.
make a choice, especially if there are variables outside of my control, like weather or timing
Yes.
or somebody gets sick or something. It's just, I need my life to be easy and predictable. And then I have
Awesome.
enough spaciousness in my day, in my thoughts, and in my feelings that when things go off, I have room to deal with it. I have space. Everything is more open to us when we show up that way, which I absolutely love.
Fantastic.
So Brian, when you think about, when you kind of look at the work that you get to do, at some point you had to say, "Hey, I'm betting on myself. Like I'm going
Mhm.
to start this business again. I'm going to take these new opportunities." Was there any particular like moment or an experience that really kind of reinforced for you that I really am going to design my life like this on purpose?
Yes. Yeah. There are several, and then there are a few, and it's so funny you brought this up because I haven't thought about this moment for a long time, and then I'm a very woo person, like
Yeah,
11:11 kinda stuff,
all the things.
and I just thought about this the day before yesterday. I had not thought about it for a long time, and I don't keynote speech when I get very vulnerable on stage, but
Yeah.
I've never talked about this, and now you were asking me this, and that's what popped in my head.
Mm.
There was a moment I started the first business I started with a friend of mine from college. I was 25, and then I was bankrupt by the time I was 26 and a half. Like, we were 18 months. I lost, and I didn't have a bunch to lose, but I
Yeah.
lost everything. Um, I had, that was back when the actual physical newspaper would come to your
Mhm.
house, and our newspaper person would like pull into our driveway at 4 in the morning. I jump out of bed thinking my car was getting
Oh,
repossessed. Cause I was, it was awful,
yeah.
awful. I can remember the things. And I remember then I then took a straight commission job. So I went from bankrupt to a straight commission job, and most people be like, "Why didn't you go get like a secure job?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, it's a thing. Once you're broke, you're broke.
Nothing to
You know,
lose.
there's nothing to lose. Like, I can't pay anything back. So
Yeah.
if I owe someone 100,000 or 10,000, I've got zero.
Yeah.
So it's still zero for all of you guys that I owe
Yes.
money to, sort of thing." So, but I was still dealing with the creditors, and I was trying to like claw my way out of this thing, and it was collapsing on me. And I remember calling my mom at work, and I was 26 years old, and I started crying, talking to my mom, who worked for a big, huge company, Alcoa. It's a big aluminum
Mhm.
company here
Yeah.
in the United States. And I'm like, she didn't know, but I said, "Look, I'm bankrupt. I'm broke. I can't get out of this. And then that was like, okay, she and my stepdad, helped me. They didn't pay for things, but they helped co-sign a loan for me
Yeah.
to go get a loan with some collateral, and I paid that back $386.47 for 5 years, a month,
I love
just to
that.
pay down the debt that I had
Yeah.
owed people, and I just kept that payment book, and I'm like, "Okay." And what this is the bet on myself part. I'm like, "If I can do this,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yes.
If I can get out of this," back we talked earlier about
Mhm.
the wins that you feel, you've already overcome them,
Yeah.
then I can overcome the next thing. The big shift was when I started the company, when I got real with myself,
Mhm.
I started it for one reason, and it was to tell everybody that I met, including the girls at the bar,
Yeah.
that I own my own company.
Yes.
And I thought that I'm like, "What do you" 'cause you're
Yeah.
25, 26, you're rolling around,
Yeah.
"What do you do?" "I own my own business. I own my own co" I was that guy.
I love
Like,
it.
I'd have no other reason, no other purpose. So no wonder God made me bankrupt. It's like, "Dude, you're doing it for the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
man." Ego reasons, all ego.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that didn't work very well." So then I'm like, "Okay, let's take a different, tact here. Let's do it for others,
Yeah.
and let's only do things that we're good at and we like to do."
Mm,
And that's what I started doing. I started doing this June 3rd, 1997. I know the exact date that I started
June 3rd.
doing this. And that's it. And it's just it hasn't been perfect easy. It hasn't been straight up. I
No,
have had,
no.
troubles along the way,
Yeah.
but here I am, and I just am just happy and love it and wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing.
That's like to be able to be at that point and reflecting and be like, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, and as you said,
Yeah.
in the moment, like that's real fear, right? That
Yeah.
real anxiety of your car being repossessed, like that real anxiety of having to make that vulnerable phone call to your mom and say, like, it's like, I'm not okay. And
Mm-mm.
just that piece around your character of following it through in terms
Yeah.
of that payback book and knowing if I can do this, I can do that and
Yes.
just taking those skills and generalizing them to a new place and say I'm going to apply these things that I know work for me and then
Yes.
taking that step. It's just so it's so inspiring and I love hearing and meeting other people who have these like moments of reinvention and they bet on themselves and they do it through the lens and the tools of service and
Yes.
that idea of helping other people showing up like that's what this is all about in my opinion when we think about the most beautiful way to build a life like a lifestyle and a livelihood is if we can do it in service because we
Yes.
all win. Like we all win when people are happy that with their jobs, when they're happy with their life, they're just going to
Yes.
be better people. It's just going to be better and
100%.
not in terms of morally better. It's just they have more to offer. They're
Yes.
happier, they're healthier, they're more connected, dialed in. They're showing up
Yeah.
for your Friday night lights for 7 years to cheer on your boys.
Yes. Yes.
What was that like? Because I'll tell you again, in my own experience, my youngest, he's the basketballer, and I have been
Okay.
in moments, Brian, I kid you not, sitting on those sidelines. I remember walking into a gymnasium and the all of it was a high playoff game and I remember all of these hundreds of kids and all of these teachers were like chanting and I turned to Jax and I'm like, "What are they saying?" And he looked at me and he's like, "They're saying overrated." And I'm like, "What's that about?" And he's like, "Mom, it's about me." And I was like, "Oh my," I'm like, "How do these people even know you?" And of course, Jax is that he's the guy, and so we got in there, and I had a moment where I looked at him and I said, "Son, I am not evolved enough right now as a human being to manage the big feelings that I have because I wanna protect you." And I
Yes.
remember calling his older brother who was off at university, and I'm like, "Hunter, this is unfolding right now, and I am gonna make poor choices. Talk me through it. Like, you're my SOS. Talk me through it. You're my phone call." And he said, "Mom, put Jackson on the phone." So put on speakerphone. And he said, "Jax," he's like, "it can be pretty intimidating, these people chanting
Mm.
overrated." And he said, "I have a question. Do you know the names of all the people who are saying this to you?" And Jack was like, "No, I don't know these people." And Hunter said, "No, but they know who you are. Like, just know it,
Oh,
like, who's in control."
touche.
And,
Yes.
so again, that's just in a small, tiny little microsystem in my
Awesome.
own lived experience.
Awesome.
How do you sit there as an NFL official on a Friday Night Lights watching your boys play and,
Yes.
like, gosh, how do you do that?
Yes. Well, you don't first of all, you don't sit, you
True.
stand, and, um, there's been nothing more fulfilling for me than watching them be successful in their thing.
Right.
Even though we're a football family per
Yeah.
se, and their grandpa is a Hall of Fame high school football coach here in the state of Indiana where we live, all those
So
things,
cool.
we've won a couple of state championships with them. They've got all those things are great, but they just love playing for them with
Yeah.
their friends and that sort of thing. So that's very fulfilling. Um, and then partially because of my side job, my side hustle job on Sundays, I tend to
Side
stay out of the
hustle.
crowd. I just can't sit in the crowd because I get asked the questions and then I hear the stuff that they
Yeah.
say about the refs who are working as hard as they can. And I don't criticize them because
Mhm.
it's like I'm one of them. So I try to find my way away from people as
Right.
best I can when I was cheering my kids on.
Yeah.
And I'm just for them, and I'm not I was never a, calling out mistakes, dad, or,
Yeah.
anytime I coached them, I would ask them permission first.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, are you open to coaching some stuff?" Because they're
Mhm.
all linemen and I ref the linemen.
Mhm.
And sometimes they would say, "Nope." I'm like, "Okay."
Cool.
And I wouldn't say a word.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes I'll speak for myself. We, I can look at my kids' performance in anything in life and take it on as a direct reflection of me in terms of like, if they fail, I fail.
Mhm.
And something I'm really working on is a lot of people will say, "What do you want your kids to be?" And a lot of people will say, "I want my kids to be happy and successful, happy and successful." And I hear that all the time. Like, is that really what I want? It just seems like, do I want them to be like, and what does successful mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What does that even mean?
Mhm.
So I came up with this new thing is I want my kids to be capable,
I love that.
full stop. And that capable means they can handle any
Anything.
problem. They can be successful. They can handle success. They can handle failure.
Mhm.
They're capable of living life on their own. They're
Yeah.
capable of living life with me. They're capable of a relationship. They're capable of handling a breakup.
Yeah.
That feels better to me.
Mhm.
And so when I watch my kids perform in their sport or whatever they do, I always think they're showing me they're capable
Yes.
because they win sometimes, they lose sometimes, they have good games, they have bad games.
Yeah.
And in all those situations, they're building capability to
Yeah.
handle life.
I
And
absolutely love that, and I
yeah,
want people to hear that loud and clear, that one of the greatest gifts that we can give to our children is to set that intention that we want them to be capable, and I
yes.
think that's so well said. One of my pieces, again, is I know I picked this advice up I was given so many years ago, is that as soon as you see your kid after their sport event or even their music recital or their spelling bee or their whatever it is, the first response is just, "I love watching you play." I
Yes.
just love watching you play. And I remember there'd be times where the boys and even our daughter would be like, "No, no, mom, I want feedback. Like, what happened? What da, da, da."
Right.
And I'm just like,
Right.
"I am only here as your supporter, and damn, do I ever love watching you play.
Right.
I love
Right.
watching you do your thing." And I'm not you have coaches, you have trainers, you have
Yes.
psychologists, you have all of those people. I will just always be your biggest fan in life, and I will
It's
cheer for
awesome.
everything. Like,
Love
literally
it.
I cheer for it all because I think we need to cheer out
Yes.
loud. We're really quick to
Absolutely.
the world's gonna point out a lot of the things we've done wrong.
Yes.
I think we have to create these safe places for our teams, for our families, especially for our young ones, just to know that there's a safe place to land after
Yes.
the lights go out, after
I love
everybody
that.
gets back in their car or everybody moves on with their day. So I
Yes.
love that piece as well about what you're saying about capable.
Fun.
Okay, Brian, gosh, I literally could talk to you for days, and I'm trying to be so respectful of your time. I just
I'm
have a
good.
few, like, just kinda, like, random questions that I just would love
Let's do it.
okay, is it true that the elastic bands that refs and officials wear on their hand is to say which side of the mark it is and what downs they're on?
Very good.
Is that true?
Where did you find that,
Oh,
Dr. Robin?
I it's
Holy smokes, that's impressive.
is that
That's
true?
impressive. I give away money at speeches for people that guess that. No one ever guesses it.
Oh,
What so I wear 2, 1 in
okay,
each hand. Not all refs wear 2
yeah,
because I am responsible for spotting the ball after a play, and it has to be spotted in the correct lateral position, meaning,
exactly.
side to side every time. If it's an incomplete pass and the pass goes to the left, but we snapped it on the right hash mark, as we call it,
Yes,
it needs to go back on the right. So I
right,
keep that on one hand.
and it's an
On
elastic.
that goes on my left hand. See a little black elastic band
Yes,
that goes. I wish I had one. I don't have
there you
one
go.
with me. And then the other one is for the downs. To count the downs. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Yes, that's what it's for. And there's as you would say, a process to
yes,
how I handle that. And I made a mistake earlier in my career by putting the ball on a wrong hash mark. No one really ever even noticed it,
yeah.
but it was for a field goal, and the kicker got upset with me. And so I'm like, I don't want to make that mistake again. So I put into my process. I do a snap on my finger to make sure before I settle in. I'm like, we're on the left hash, and I go pop, and I snap that little elastic thing. That there's a physical element to remind me that yes, we're on the left side.
Okay. That
Yeah,
is I
that's
love
true.
that, and everyone it's
True.
so funny because 'cause I've had so many conversations where like, "No, it's just the thing for the whistle." I'm like, "It is
No,
not
it's
an
not.
elastic for
No,
the whistle,
you
it's his
win. You
downs."
win,
Yeah.
Robin. It's
I
true.
let me say
Good job.
trivia might be one of my favorite side little
I love
hobbies.
it.
And okay, have and tell me, I'm just so curious, is there a particular stadium or venue that is, like, your favorite to officiate in?
Yeah, not as much. And it's funny. I am actually a college football fan.
Yes.
Uh, I love college football.
Yeah.
So I love the pageantry and I love the marching bands. I'm a
Yes.
music guy too. So I was like, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So And I refereed in the Big Ten in the
Yes.
US. So that would be like Wisconsin and
Mhm.
Penn State. And I love those schools.
Yeah.
I loved going to those places, those college campuses in the
Yeah.
fall. Penn State was one of my favorites. Wisconsin's a favorite.
Yeah.
Iowa, those kind of places I love. In the NFL, it's a bit more of a business thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really, because of it's a much more of a job than it used to be more of
Yes.
an avocation or a hobby.
Yeah.
And we get bussed into the bottom of the stadium, and I literally don't I see a football field.
Right.
That's it. So
Yeah.
you like go out, you see it, and like that's it.
You're right.
So you really don't get the chance to enjoy the stadium or make an opinion of it. And
Yeah.
we also, because we want to get home as soon as the game's over, we'll
You're out.
sprint back in the
Yeah.
locker room, do our paperwork, shower, and we're out the door of the airport. So we get to enjoy them as much.
Yeah. And I love how you just set the stage of what the college stadiums are like, what they feel like, because and also the students, right? Like, I love the
Yes.
students. I also love the fact that there's so much diversity in terms of the athletes that are playing in college sports. Because, like, I know, for example, like, so the Hunter and I, every weekend, or sorry, every year, the boys, we have what's
Yeah.
called Mama Boys Weekend, where we go
Awesome.
to an NFL game and we go to an NBA game in a city, or we go to a college game. And just depending on the calendars, because it's actually quite challenging to figure out where we can
Yes.
do this. But the thing that I love is that I know, for example, when we were at March Madness for basketball, you'll see a little point guard who is 5'8", and you will never
Yes.
see that in the NBA. We're very
Uh-uh.
unlikely that you'll see that.
Yes.
You will see people that they might not be able to have an opportunity in professional sport, but they're playing in the college circuits, and you
Yes.
see that diversity of the athletes. And I just love how interesting the game is when
Yes.
you see a wee bit more of that diversity. And I know there's diversity in professional sport, but I mean, like, it's raw in the college, and
Yes.
they're all of it that's on the line, right? Like,
Yes.
there's just so much heart that is in college. And I remember when my kids were little, all the other kids were watching, like, Mulan and all these other movies, and I was making my kids watch Rudy. And it's like, because you need to bleed this. I want this in your DNA, what this
Yes.
means to see come together as a community, how
Yes.
important sport is, and just overcoming, and what you can learn on a court, on a field, on a pitch, that will serve you so well in a classroom, in a boardroom, in a relationship,
Yes.
if you can take some of these practices and make it bigger than sport.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
The the alumni in the United States with the university, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in the US, there's this deep, deep, deep love of your school, your
Yes.
alma mater that
Yeah,
you
your
went
alma
to.
mater.
And
Yeah.
then you have generational,
Yeah.
where, in the NFL, oh yeah, my husband or my wife was a Cowboys fan, whatever it was, I was like, that's just a thing.
Yeah.
So the long tail of the fandom is much, much longer and deeper
Yes.
in college. And so
Yes.
there is an extra, like you said, communal like
Mhm.
type passion around it that's really, really cool. And you can feel it.
Yeah.
And then you have Zach Edey,
Yeah.
star from
Yeah.
your neck of the woods,
Absolutely.
playing at
Northern
Purdue at
Kings. Yep.
100%. And my wife's a Purdue grad,
Yeah.
and I made her go to the Final Four,
Yeah.
because we were sitting on the couch on Saturday. I said, "Babe, you got to go.
Yeah.
It's your school. You have to go." And she's calling her friends. Next thing you know, she's on a plane flying to Arizona.
Oh, I love that.
But a kid like
Absolutely.
Zach Edey,
Yeah.
who, growing up in Canada
Yeah.
and, I had offers, but,
Yeah.
not this like, oh, who's this guy? And all of a sudden, boom, number one draft
Yeah.
choice, it was just
Two-time
so
MVP,
great.
two-time
Two-time. I mean, it's
MVP.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's a great kid and all
Yeah.
that stuff, great family. So, I love the chance too for these kids who may not have been the blue chip,
Yes. Yeah.
The Pacers have Tyrese Halliburton,
Yes.
who I've gotten to know a little bit
Yeah.
personally, and he's he's a 3-star. No one really wanted him, and he's got this little chip on his shoulder. And to see him perform now is just that's really cool. And that all started in college. All that
Yes.
stuff, those kids broke out in college. I don't
Absolutely.
think many people had heard of Zach Edey
Mhm.
before he got to Purdue, and
Yeah.
really until his like sophomore year. And then it's
That's
like,
right.
okay, this kid's legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And he's actually from the Northern King basketball program, which is both my boys were affiliated with that
Oh,
program.
is that
And
right?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
a
awesome.
cool program. And
Yes.
I also just love how you just captured that piece around the family component, the community,
Mm,
the longevity of these relationships, and again, rallying around your school. Like, it's when the world is so much it's just so full of negativity and divisiveness, and just, people are really looking for hope right now. And as you
Yeah.
know, another area I study is hope.
Eh,
So often we find it in our stories, and
yes.
we all have a story of our alma mater, or we all have a story of our favorite player, our favorite moment in
Yep.
sports. And, recently, obviously, our Blue Jays in baseball, they just won their game
Unbelievable.
seven. What
Awesome.
an amazing
Yes.
moment. And,
Awesome.
we'll now talk about where we were when we saw Springer hit that
That's it.
like,
Exactly.
I love how we have this like through line of sports and experience that we're experiencing in a collective, where
Yes.
we know where we were, where some of these plays happened. We know
Yes.
how that unfolds. And I just think it's such a cool part of our history, our shared history. And we then share that with our kids. And again, as I said, we've been to some very special games, the boys and I. And don't worry, our daughter, we don't leave her out. She loves live music. So we do
Great.
concerts, right? So Abe and I do
Awesome.
concerts. We don't leave her behind. And
Yay.
but with the boys, when we watch, like, the highlights of the year, and the boys are like, we were there. Like, we were
It's
there at
awesome.
that game. And it just creates this beautiful moment of these collection of precious moments.
Yes.
And that's one of my biggest gratitudes and expressions of thanks to sports and people who help facilitate sports like yourself, because you're creating memories, and long
Yes.
after we're with one another, we get to carry those precious moments forward. And, I know people have their own take on sports and all the politics in sports. It's like, yeah, but being in a moment like that game seven hit Springer got, like, you don't forget that. And you
No,
feel it in your bones,
you do.
those moments where you're watching history unfold, and history
Yes.
that's pretty fun to talk about,
Yes.
unlike some other things in history. So,
100%. And
yeah,
we'll be there forever. And I always say this too, when as you go through life and you work in a business and have some good things happen and you have a couple nickels to rub together, as I say sometimes, and you realize that none of those things are really the fulfilling things. The fulfilling things are the memories and
yeah,
those shared situations that you were sitting with your kids when this grand slam thing happened.
that's right.
It's not like you're looking in your Chase bank account going, "How
Yeah.
much is my for when I'm on my
Yeah.
deathbed here?" You're not doing that. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I got to experience all these things with you," and the love and the shared experiences. That's the ticket, man. It's
100%.
awesome. Yeah,
100%. Oh my gosh. And I'd be remiss. I have just really quick. I know I
you're
was
good.
last question again. I'm mindful of your time. We'll wrap this up and land this plane. Do you have any little, I love a good hope story. Okay. Just so you
Oh,
know, just to put the kind of pretext there.
yeah.
Any little story or anecdote that you've seen or been a part of in either business or in your sport, where you just seen that little moment where it hits you in the feels? Just anything
Yeah.
about hopes, a comeback, like anything that really stands out in your very, very significant career. Yeah, and I'm sure there's many, but if there's any little hope story of
Yeah.
something that you're like, Robin, I would love to share this with you and the people that are tuning in today.
I would love to. And it's a big story. It's
I'm
not a
here
little
for it. Take your
story.
time all the
And
time.
it's a story that you know. So I worked the Super Bowl 56. I got the
Yes, you
reference.
did.
Awesome. Dream come true. That was in February of whatever it was, 2021. I don't even remember the year. Anyway, then the next year I didn't have a goal. I'm like, okay, I hit my goal. I had that goal since I was 19. I hit it. Oh, yeah. So I was kind of having a kind of a squirrely year. I wasn't my best. And I kind of reset things mid-year, talked to my coaches about that and therapist. And and I'm like, okay, let's dial in.
Yeah.
So end of the year, I'm working a game. At the end of the NFL year, some of the regular season games are technically playoff games, or
Yes.
not technically, because
Yes.
it's so I was one of these games, and this game is being played, and it's a prime time game. I'm like, oh, this is such a good game, and these players are dialed in, and it means everything because it's
Yes.
like a playoffs before the
I
playoffs.
get it.
And guy catches a pass, runs, goes down, gets tackled, and I go to get the ball. As I go to get the ball, the player that tackled him, standing 6 inches from me, starts to fall backwards. And I catch his eyes, and his eyes roll back in his head. And it was Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Damar Hamlin collapsed at my feet. And if you don't know the story, if you're listening to
Buffalo
this, you don't know the
Bills. Yeah.
story. Damar Hamlin,
Yes.
number 3 for the Buffalo Bills, had a cardiac incident and technically died on
Yes.
the field. His heart stopped. And the medical team went into what they do, and they're trained so well to do, into essentially emergency room mode.
Yeah.
And they have all of the doctors that you would need
Yes.
to revive someone, and they went into that mode. And I'm not in the medical business, but when you've seen a human being be revived,
Yeah.
it changes your life forever, I promise. And No one knew what to do that night. We just knew all this football and this great and the play out. None of that stuff mattered anymore. The only thing that mattered was that kid who we all saw um, have his incident. And we know the end of this story too. They revived him. They saved his life, and he is alive and well and
Yeah.
playing. And he's a great human. um, I tell all the medical people, we have a medical meeting before every game, and I ask my referee if I can go. And I just tell them just my, 10-second version of that I was there. And I say, when you say thanks to, thanks for first responders and things, it means something different for me. And I just want them to know that. Last week, a guy came up to me afterwards, and one of my friends said, "Hey, this guy wants to talk to you." I'm like, "I don't even know who this guy is." He had switched teams. I didn't know this. He was the guy who gave Damar CPR. He said,
Oh,
"I didn't know you." He goes, "I just wanted to," this just happened Sunday. He said, "I was the one that gave Damar CPR." And I'm like, "We're hugging it out, bro." And this is before my game last Sunday. Cause it's just different and no one cares. And I don't care if anyone sees me hugging a guy from a team, because this is not about that.
no.
Um, so it's just the human spirit in that stadium and with those people and the doctors that worked all their lives to do that one thing, and it all worked together. That gives me a ton of hope. And I get to relive that in a positive way now every week when I get to go tell those people what they meant. So that's my story. It's a thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Bryan, there are just like not enough words that I can string together in this moment to express my gratitude for you for sharing that story with us.
Mm,
Again, I remember watching that unfold, and people around the world were just watching this unfold, and that you were there, and that you can then take that message to all of those medical personnel that you cross paths with every day. And I imagine so often they're just like, oh, we're going through the motions, we have to be here.
yep.
But as you said, that they are there at the moment that matters most. And just what a blessing that you are to share that with each and every one of them moving forward. And just
Yes.
knowing, we are so much greater than these parts or these moments. It's when we come together, and just what a blessing that you were there, and that you can share that story. And oh my gosh, what an amazing moment with these just fast 45 minutes I've been able to spend with you. I feel like my life has been touched, and I know you
Awesome.
continue to impact and touch so many lives. And you are so many things beyond the blind zebra, just so you know. Like, you are so many things, but you are definitely a dealer of hope. And
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you, thank you for being here. And I hope this is the first of many opportunities that you and I get to chat, because you are one of the good ones. So, Bryan, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Likewise to you. And thank you for giving the platform to people, because a podcast like this, you have no idea who's going to hear it when they need to hear it, what it's going to do for their lives. And it doesn't matter if it's one or many, it's a great thing to do. So kudos to you for putting it together and letting me share my stories. This is
Thank you.
awesome. We'll do this again.
Thank you for spending time with this podcast episode today. I hope you found something helpful in Resiliency Redefined. Please feel free to share it with somebody who you might think could benefit. Maybe there was something useful, something in particular that you think you could pay forward. Also, if you have a moment, please feel free to rate and review this podcast wherever you like to listen to your podcast. It means the world to me. And again, thanks for your time. Thank you for your interest. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.